Today is April the 7th of 2021, and we're here with David Nance, who's running for the AISD Board of Trustees. David, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Honored to be here.
Let's start off by telling the voters who David Nance is, where you came from, and how you ended up on the school board.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you and the voters here in the Amarillo community, so it's an honor to be here. Born and raised in Amarillo, Texas. This is my home, so everything about Amarillo is what I want to support. I went to Avondale Elementary, Sam Houston Middle School, and then graduated from Tascosa, and actually got my my degree from WT as well, business, a Bachelor of Administration degree from WT as well. So this is my community, and this is the community I want to support.
What year did you graduate Tascosa?
1988. 1988, yes, sir. So a few years on me.
Long time ago.
Yes, sir, a long time ago.
So what do you do for a living?
I own Denman Building Products. We're a commercial subcontractor here in town, so we work on commercial projects, schools, churches, things of that nature. We'll be building the new Potter County Courthouse, so we are a commercial subcontractor, so that's what I do here. Started in the warehouse the summer before my senior year in high school and worked my way through the warehouse and into the field, and then eventually bought the company in 1999. So I've been doing that quite some time as well. So.
Very good. I bought a lot of sheetrock and metal studs from you.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Very good. So how did you end up on the school board?
You know, it's just an opportune time for me to do that. Back in July of 2019, two openings came open. I've always kind of watched the school board from a distance and admire the men and women who have served there and appreciated their service. And when those two openings came open, I decided through my wife and just our consideration and prayer, decided to put my name forward, and was fortunate enough to be selected at that time, and have certainly enjoyed my service there. Obviously, we've had our challenges with COVID and those dynamics, but have certainly enjoyed the opportunity to serve our community on the school board.
So you were appointed, is that right?
Yes, sir. I was appointed to a term that was not that was vacant at the time, shortly after that May of 2019 election. Yes, sir.
And who was it that actually appoints you? Is that the members of the board?
Yes, sir. At the time, there would have been 5 board members left, so 2 appointments came open. So Kayla Mendez and myself were appointed in July of 2019 to fill those unexpired terms. Yes, sir.
So how many members are in total on the school board?
There are 7 board members on the school board. This May election, there will be 4 seats that are open. So there are 3 incumbents running and then an open seat. Our board president, Robin Malone, is not running again, so there will be 4 seats with 3 incumbents running. Yes, sir.
Why don't you explain to the voters how the cumulative voting works? So for people that haven't voted in the election before, it's a little bit different.
It is for the school board. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It sure is. That's a great question. I'd be happy to clarify that. So, again, there are 4 seats open. So each individual voter will receive an opportunity to cast 4 votes. Now, that voter can cast 1 vote for 4 different candidates. They can cast 2 votes for one candidate and 2 votes for another candidate, or they can decide to cast 4 votes for one particular candidate. So they can divide those 4 votes up in any selection that they so choose.
And it's cumulative, so the top 4 vote getters are going to be on the school board.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The top 4 vote getters will serve this next 4-year term.
And there won't be any runoff.
I don't believe there are, no, unless there's a tie, and I haven't really considered, how that would work out. But no, it would be the top 4 vote getters will serve the school board. So
now that you've been on the school board, what do you think? What most impresses you about the Amarillo Independent School District?
Really, especially as we come out of this year of COVID, we have to really honor and recognize the teachers and the staff that have made this year possible. Have there been struggles? Obviously. Have there been challenges across the district this year? Of course there have. But it's the teachers and the staff supporting them that have really made an opportunity for our students to be in the classroom. And I know personally I will be forever grateful for that. You hear on the national news about other school districts not being in school, and that that baffles me how a school district could not be in school. So I'm very grateful that we live in the Texas Panhandle, in the city of Amarillo, where our teachers reported for the call of duty. And, mask and all, I understand that. But our children are being educated at the best place for them to be educated, and that's in a classroom with a teacher in front of them.
So what do you think are some of the challenges that the AISD faces?
There will always be budgetary constraints and concerns that we'll need to address. It's one of the reasons over this past 2 years that we refinanced some of our construction bonds to a savings of $23 million to our taxpayers for future bond payments. So we've taken some proactive steps to address those concerns. And really the main thing that I would say going forward will be the achievement gap. Prior to my term on the board, we addressed that, and we made some great gains with our Hispanic community. Right now, our African-American community is falling behind in their academic performances. So I really believe as a community, as a board, as a staff, and as a district, that's something that we'll need to tackle and address specifically, and I believe that we can do that.
Why do you think that the African-American community is falling behind?
I think there's probably a host of reasons. If a child is wondering where that next meal is going to come from, or if I go to school hungry, that's going to affect our academic performances. But again, I think the city of Amarillo is such a generous people. We're such a giving people. There are opportunities for people to come in and serve within the district. Obviously, this will be post-COVID, where we can get our volunteers and the people that serve within the community back into the school district. So those will be opportunities for us to address that, not just for the African-American community, but across the district, to make sure that every one of our students finds a successful path through education.
Well, I think most all the voters agree that education is probably the most important thing, because almost everything stems from that in the future.
Yes, sir.
I think a lot of the voters have some concerns about the direction of what they hear in the media about, like the school districts in Austin, some of the things that they're teaching. As a member of the board, do you have any sway over what's being taught in the schools?
A lot of that stems from the State Board of Education. I can tell you that I am a conservative person here in Amarillo, Texas. I'm a conservative Christian. So anything that is brought to us, obviously I'm going to have a great concern to us, how that affects the teaching aspects of what we present to our children. And I think that's why we need to be advocates here at the local level, first and foremost, but also at the state level as well, through the State Board of Education, through to TEA. We need to make sure that we have good contacts there and have influence there. Obviously, I believe in the values of Amarillo, Texas, and then the Texas Panhandle. So those are the values that I'm going to champion, and those may mean hard conversations with some of our state legislators. As we were visiting earlier, I went to school at Tascosa. I'm good friends with 4 Price. I don't mind having those, and I've had those conversations with 4 and other representatives with John Smithy as well. So I don't mind having those conversations. I'm open to those conversations. But again, I'm going to defend and protect the values of the Texas Panhandle and of Amarillo, Texas.
So you also have a state board of education.
Yes, sir, we sure do.
And that's who basically governs the TEA, is that right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So anybody that wants to run for that position should do so.
Please step forward. Yes, sir.
We need good, competent people on that board that don't allow bad things to happen.
No, and again, that's where we need to be advocates for the values that we represent.
So as a board member, you're also responsible, I guess, for the tax rate.
Correct. So
you all can lower or increase property taxes.
That would go through an approval process. Anytime a raise of that property tax, that would go as an independent school district. We do not have the opportunity to do that short of a voter influence. Yes, sir. Voter election.
So if you propose to raise taxes, it would go before the voters.
Yes, sir. I believe so. I believe that's the way that works. Yes, sir. Through a bond issue or anything else, that would go to the voters.
Right. But the school board members would have a lot of input.
Correct.
Before it got there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We sure would.
So basically the board functions as a governing body over the superintendent of the schools.
Yes, sir.
So he kind of serves at your pleasure.
He does. It's a team of 8. There's 7 board members and then the superintendent. So we function as a team of 8. So ideas, thoughts, complaints, or concerns that anyone within the district might have are often shared with us. And then we'll bring that together to the superintendent on one-on-one or or maybe a couple of board members will go before the superintendent and share those with him. And that's the great way the democracy works is that we represent the values and the interests and the concerns of our citizens of the Amarillo Independent School District. So that's a wonderful way for that to work.
If we could just get the voters to understand how important the school board is.
Yes, sir. It's very important. Obviously, it's very important. As you mentioned earlier, I mean, the strength of our community, of our future educational opportunities through AC and WT and Texas Tech, the strength of our economic opportunities through ADC and everything else depends upon a strong educational base, a good foundation there. So the greater gains that we can make there, the strength of our community will obviously benefit.
I think a lot of people take these things for granted and don't really understand how the process works.
Yes, sir.
How important it is, and how if they'll just become engaged, that what a tremendous impact that they can have on the direction, whether it's a school board or which translates into the entire economy and society.
And maybe as different entities, Amarillo College or WT or AISD, maybe one thing we've probably learned through this COVID pandemic is maybe we need to be better at making sure the community knows what those needs are. Mm-hmm. I think education definitely will change. It's changed since 14 months ago, and it'll change in 14 months from now. So I think what we want to do is learn from this past 14-month period and see what worked, build upon that, what didn't work, and let's change and enhance that. And one of the ways we can do that, I think, is probably just as you mentioned, through community involvement and just letting our wonderful community know what's going on within AISD and what the needs might be for the community to meet those needs.
I was thinking about that the other day. I think there's a lack of communication.
Sure.
You have the AISD over here, you have Bushland ISD, you have River Road ISD, Canyon ISD, and then you have the AC Board of Regents and the community college. You have WT, you have city council, but they're all disparate little entities, right? Maybe we need to create a website where everything's kind of in one spot where people can go and get the information they need, and that we could communicate to the voters what's going on.
Correct. And I think one good example of the way that's already taken place, and we can visit more about in a little bit, is the AmTech Career Academy. But Mr. Loomis and Dr. Hart have done a great job. The Amarillo College president and Mr. Loomis, our superintendent, have done a great job of collaborating on that effort, making sure we don't have an overlap of programs and of opportunities for students, so we don't have an overlap of tax dollars, so that AC is not doing something that we're repeating, but actually what we're doing is feeding into what AC is already doing as well. So I think that's ongoing. Maybe we need to promote that a little more through informational services, but that process, I've been very proud of the way Mr. Loomis and AC have worked together, specifically on our AmTech Academy.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things going on at Amarillo College.
Yes, sir. Sure.
I didn't know until recently that if you graduate high school in Amarillo, that you have an opportunity to go to AC for free.
Yes, sir.
For 60
For 60 hours. Yes, sir.
That's huge.
Wonderful opportunity.
That's huge.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that ought to be. I just wonder, does everybody know that?
They do. Now, whether the information, a lot of times as freshmen gets home to the parents, but no, that information is broadcast widespread. Yes, sir. That's a wonderful opportunity, though, for our students.
Well, I would think that would surge the enrollment at AC.
Yes, sir. And AC is such a wonderful partner in the educational environment that we have here in Amarillo. It's just a tremendous partner that we have.
So you're working closely with Amarillo College, and I think that's a good thing.
Yes, sir. Again, the thought there is just make sure we don't overlap what tax dollars are paying for at Amarillo College and what tax dollars are paying for at AISD, so we can be good stewards of the resources that we receive.
We only want to pay once.
Yes, sir. Good idea.
Right. Well, what other things do you want to tell the voters that you think are concerns or things that you think need to be improved?
Yeah. Just a couple of things that we've been able to achieve, if we can go there. We've been able to achieve a one-to-one initiative, which means every one of our students has a computer, a Chromebook in their hands, so that as they receive education at the schools, but specifically as they go home, they'll be able to access that. We're working closely with the city on the Amarillo with the broadband network to make sure that every one of our students has access to Wi-Fi and make sure that that education process can continue even outside the classroom. So those are key things that we've been working on. Again, we can talk about the AmTech Career Academy, over a $60 million project that's going on right there at Plains and Western, I believe it would be, the old Sunset Center and Sears facility. That facility, phase 1, will open in August of this year. So we're talking culinary arts, marketing, finance, animal sciences, pharmacy tech. The dental lab will be there as well. So that's going to be a tremendous opportunity, especially for our secondary students, juniors and seniors, some sophomores, to be able to engage in that. And what we're trying to do there is to provide an opportunity for kids to see what the opportunities are for them to find a pathway to success. I mean, I think for so long, we define success as going to Amarillo College or WT or to one of the major universities. And that's not necessarily the path for every student. We need to be open, and we are, and we're taking steps to that, to find a pathway for each one of these students to be successful. On phase 2 of the AmTech Academy, which will open in December, in January, we have auto body, welding, construction tech, things of that nature, robotics, and so those things will be available as well. STEM and IT will be in that phase as well. So again, just finding opportunities for our students to find a pathway of interest to them. And when we toured some facilities in Dallas, and that's what really sold me on the AmTech Career Academy, is that we talked with the directors of these academies in Dallas, and what they indicated to us that if a kid was maybe struggling in math or didn't have an interest in math, but he got into a welding class and understood that he needed to understand some basic math principles, that his interest level in math increased because he was exposed to a welding class or an auto body shop or things of that nature. So it's a collaborative effort to make sure that we're growing the hold of the student and giving them, again, opportunities for them to see what might be of interest to them.
Hey, you make that math relevant.
Yes, sir. And that was the key. And that's really what really struck with me through our tours. We toured 3 facilities in Dallas. Yes, sir.
I still never could really understand the use of algebra.
Yeah. I was touring Johnny Allen several months ago and visiting with a 6th grade young lady over there, a student there, and I was just asking her what she wanted to do when she grew up. And she said, well, I want to be a pharmacist, or I want to be a teacher. And I just was able to share with her, hey, here in a few years, you can go to AmTech, take the pharmacy tech program to see if that's of interest to you. And she'll know before she goes and invest a tremendous amount of money in higher education, as we all know. Mm-hmm. So she'll know what interests her. She'll have an opportunity to know what interests her before she ever graduates from high school. So it's going to be a wonderful opportunity. I think it really will change the way we educate and the way we provide a competent workforce for our region. I was in a business the other day in Hereford just sharing about the AmTech Academy, and they were so excited because they're in need of electricians and welders and things of that nature. So it will have a region-wide impact for this area as we graduate and empower a growing workforce.
Yeah, the building trades are
Yes,
so
sir.
important.
Yes, sir.
Everybody lives in a house.
They do.
Or offices in a building. And we need people that can fix them.
Plumbers make great money. When you play a plumbing deal, the plumbers make great money. So, and I think for so long maybe we've lost that sight of that. That again, every student doesn't need to go to a community college or a 4-year college to find success, and we need to provide a pathway and pathways for them to understand that I can find success as a welder. Welders make great money. Plumbers make great money. So electricians make great money. So,
heating and air.
Yes, sir. So and really celebrate those trades. I'm in the construction industry myself, so I understand the hard work and the determination that the men and women in the construction industry go through every day. I was there once myself, so I understand the work ethic that it takes, and we need to encourage that within our students.
Yeah, I think that's not everything can be done on a computer.
No, sir.
No, that's fascinating. I think that's a good thing, and I think Amarillo College carries that forward once they get out of high school.
Yes, they will. Yes, sir. And a lot of our certificates that they'll receive at AISD will continue into the Amarillo College program. So again, that's that collaborative effort that I was talking of earlier.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yes, sir.
What other things do you think, is there anything that they need to work on that you'd like to see happen in AISD that maybe they're not talking about yet?
No, I think, again, the achievement gap will be the one thing. And again, I think, coming out of COVID, Mr. Loomis said it perfectly when we entered into this season, that we'll never do education again the same. Mm-hmm. And this has been a very challenging season. And again, we need to honor and recognize those that have made it happen, those heroes within our community, the teachers and the staff that have made this happen. But I think we need to be very keen and understanding of what changes need to be made through that and how we can really improve our educational processes. Technology has its place. I understand and recognize that. But I also understand there's no substitute for a teacher in her realm or his realm within a classroom delivering instruction. To me, that is the most powerful thing that can happen in the educational process, is for a teacher who is so engaged with those students and teaching them in that environment. To me, that's the most powerful thing. So I don't want to lose sight. I appreciate technology and the process that it serves for us, but I also don't want to lose sight of the empowerment and the encouragement our students receive through those engagements and times with their teachers, their instructors.
Yeah, technology should be there to help us and to make things easier. But at the end of the day, it's all about people.
It is. It's about relationships. It's about people. And again, our teachers within the Texas Panhandle, they have such care and concern. And growing up here in the Texas Panhandle, I know because I understood how much they loved and cared for us. I have a teacher resigning this year from Sam Houston, and she was there when I was there. That last teacher, Mrs. Moorhead. So I appreciate the service that they give to us. In this community, it's so valuable.
It's a unique skill set.
It is.
It's
very much so, and it's changing. It's more challenging today than it was yesterday, and certainly, 10, 15 years ago, it's even more challenging than that. And as far as a service as a board member, I think that's one thing that allows me to serve in hopefully a respectful and an educated way. As my kids are just now coming through the system, I have 2 that recently graduated, and one still in the system. So I understand the environment in which they're teaching right now because I've just lived it. But I understand the elementary environment as well because my son, my kids aren't that old that I don't remember, serving on the outdoor education days and running the book fair with my wife and things of that nature. So I think I have a unique perspective in that my kids are just coming through the system, and I appreciate that I'm serving at the tail end of that. But just understanding what our teachers, the challenges they face every day and have an appreciation for that, I think that's one perspective that I can give to the board.
Now, I've noticed that some of these forums, I hear the word equity used.
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
I think for so long we failed to understand and recognize some students have different challenges than others. Take my son, for instance. My wife has a master's in education, so he has a built-in tutor. Whether he likes it or not, he has a built-in tutor. Students across this district probably don't have Allison at home that can bring his educational thoughts and processes to the front. So I think for us as a district, when I look across the district, I'm looking at over 32,000 students, and I really consider all of them my own, in a sense that I want every one of them to succeed. And to do that, I need to understand that each of them come from different backgrounds, different challenges, different home lives. So for me to be an effective board member, what I want to bring is a perspective that I need to make sure that not these 2,000 over here are being taken care of, or these, this high school is being taken care of, or this middle school is being taken care of, but really understand and have an appreciation for the challenges that each one of our students have, and make sure that as a district we provide the resources for the staff and the teachers to make sure that student has a pathway to success.
Now, you mentioned that you're working with the AISD's working with the city on a broadband.
Yes, sir.
how is that going to work? Are they putting in a whole new system? Or are they working with?
You know, the city's taken the lead on that. We did receive a board update a couple of months ago from Ginger and the tech department from City of Amarillo, and I think that's it's moving in the right direction. I think, you know, I'm sure it will take some sort of action on our part, but I think our participation in that, I would think, would be, we have lots of campuses across this district, so I think our participation would be helping them facilitate access to different locations of the city and across the city. So I would think that would be our participation level. I haven't seen the specifics of those proposals, but I do appreciate the city for taking the lead in that. I know that they're well down the road, and I anticipate some response or some additional information in the near future.
But all the school districts have broadband.
Yeah, that's the idea, is to make sure that every one of our students have access to.
So they're trying to get broadband across the city.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Is that just to the people that don't have it?
You know,
is that to everybody?
Yeah, that would be an answer that the city would need to provide. I'm not sure what the specifics of their access points would be, but it's certainly if it's something that we're involved with from access to our campuses, then obviously we would want it for our teachers and also specifically our students to have access to that.
So is that going to be a paid thing, or do you know?
You know, again, I don't know that they've released those specifics. I think it's going to be more of a community service opportunity for our students to have access to that. So again, we have not seen the specifics of those proposals just yet.
Yeah, I just learned about that here recently, and I'm kind of curious how that would work, because you have all these companies that provide internet service.
Correct.
It would seem logical to me to work with some of those companies that do that for business rather than create a whole new network.
Again, I think I would ask the city and their leaders what the specifics of those arrangements might be.
You just want your kids to have internet.
Yes, sir. We want them to have access to education. But there again, I mean, understand that technology has its place, but we'll certainly respect that.
Yeah, I wonder how we made it through school, because before internet was around.
Evidently, we did fine, I guess. So.
Yeah, but we may not be that computer savvy.
That's
still.
True. Yeah, I understand that. I still go to my kids to figure out how to operate my phone, so I understand that.
Right. Yeah, they're pretty handy with that technology. Yes, all right. Well, do you have a website that people can go to?
Nance for AISD.com is the best place to find me. There's also, you can go to the AISD website and board contact form if there's any concern across the district that we need to be aware of, then I'd be happy to respond to that as well. But Nance for AISD.com. Again, I look forward to serving our community for 4 more years. I would appreciate that opportunity to do that. I've enjoyed my service on the board. It's been challenging, but it's also been it's just been a joy to serve and an honor to serve. When you're serving such a great district of teachers and staff and students, again, you just take great pride in that, and you understand the responsibility and role that takes, and so it's something I take very personally, and I've certainly appreciated that opportunity and would ask for 4 more years of service.
Well, nothing's perfect, but I think, what I'm learning and hearing more about the AISD, it sounds like we have a pretty good operation.
We do. I do. I believe that. Yes, sir. And again, I want to build upon our successes, but also understand that we're not perfect, and we understand that. And that's the great thing, is when citizens reach out to me or reach out to another board member or reach out to staff. That's the way the process works and the way it should work, to express your concerns. And I love and enjoy visiting with parents. I've had a 45-minute conversation today with one. So I enjoy those conversations because I may be looking at it one way, but I didn't consider it her way or his way. And I need to be mindful of that and respectful of that. And so that's the way the system works. And once we bring all those to the table, I think we can make the best decisions for our students, for our parents, and
the voters have all the good ideas.
They do. And that's the way democracy should work. And I believe here in Amarillo, that's the way it works the best.
Very good. Well,
yes,
we sure appreciate you coming by.
Yes, sir.
And good luck.
My honor to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.